What's up, my друзья, my товарищи, my people, my bots. I don't have a cigarette this time, so just got night walk vibes. Emotions positive or negative, emotions negative. I was listening and had this person saying these things, and I really disagreed with the notion. Really disagreed with the notion that negative emotions are negative and positive emotions are positive. It's like are all oranges orange? Definitionally speaking, all oranges are orange. No, stop it. That's not true. That's not. It's like you're mixing terms here. Positive emotions are emotions, right? You have emotions, which are things that you feel, right? You are emoting. You have emotion, and the thing you feel, generally you can classify into a few different categories, and we like the binary classification system. So you go positive and negative, things that feel good and things that don't feel good. Now there's another term, positive, and another term, negative, which are things which are beneficial and things which are detrimental. Now, are all positive emotions, that is to say, are all emotions which feel good, beneficial? Fuck no. Fuck no. Obviously not. Right? Like if it was the case that all positive emotions were positive, then the ideal state would be everyone to just be high all the time. Like maybe that's true anyway, but for different reasons. Additionally, all negative emotions are negative. Like, obviously not all negative emotions are detrimental. They don't all like have no value or cause problems. So negative emotions, you have like, let's go through. Disgust was the one that was brought up. Is disgust always a bad thing, or is it useless? And the argument was that it's useless. It's something you shouldn't feel. It's like your lizard brain or whatever. And that's probably true. Like there's a certain stage where you reach a level of emotional development and cognitive awareness that you don't need to know that it's disgusting. But in the first place, how the fuck do you learn that except for by the fact that you had that initial disgust reaction? And eventually maybe we'll get to the point as a species, or maybe some species will come up later that will no longer need this, even in children. Maybe they'll get to the point where, oh, like we've beat disgust, we've beat this thing, and we no longer need to feel it ever again, because we are able to teach the lessons that it taught us in different ways. That's a good future, but it's not the present. It's certainly not the present. Yeah. There's another argument to be made that, like, well, sugar tastes good, right? It's sweet. It's a good flavor. It's something you like. And bitter things are just awful. Like, who the fuck wants a bitter thing? But if you do something, you have something bitter and then you have something sweet, it makes the sweet afterwards more sweet than it would have been, and you enjoy it more. This is why a combination of like drinking coffee and eating chocolate is super good, right? Chocolate by itself is good. Coffee by itself is bitter, but like the contrast, you know, sweet and savory, spicy, and like all those different contrasts of emotions, that's a better way to view things. It's a better way to like interpret your emotions. Don't be a fucking binary transistor and just be like, oh, it's positive and negative. Even these, like, I'm not saying it's your fault, right? Like, this is entire like Western science's fault. So it's just something I had a bit of a little this is irritating. I was playing Pokemon and I was trying to be comfy and I was like, I get irritated, but it made the Pokemon better, so it's okay. It was a positive thing. My body probably thinks in imagery, because that's the biggest thing, that is, you know, eyes and eyes-hand coordination is not just about sending commands, you know. It's more of a loop than you think, and your hands can tell your body things, your hands can tell your eyes things, and when people probably know this more from driving, actually. It's probably an experience that they understand intuitively when with driving, but I never drove.
14 minutes, 21 seconds per kilometer.
Yeah, driving's scary. I don't like being that big. I don't have a proper awareness of my form, right? Like, my footprint isn't that much bigger than my awareness when I'm like in this form. So, you know, my girlfriend, or my roommate, or whatever you want to call her, my emotional support human, she has no social awareness. Social awareness? No, not social awareness. Spatial awareness. She gets lost in Minecraft like instantly, and various things, and she'll like hit her head on basically everything. But I can, like, you know, spin around and know that, oh, like, I'm gonna hit that board right there. And I think it's because my hearing and my ears, and they all know things. My equilibrium, like, it keeps a mental map of the things that I see and hear and feel, and it's able to reconstruct it at least somewhat enough that my spatial awareness is able to deal with it.
All right, we'll try to trust it. We'll try to trust it, because it was recording and I stopped it. Oh man, now it's all gone. Now the waveform has just left me. Oh, but I can't carry that over to being in a car. Maybe it's because I never took the time to, like, you know, when I was being taught how to drive, it was by my parents. And my parents, they're like an older model or something, and because of that, the way that they learned is not the way that I learn, they need like manuals, they need books, they need whatever they need. I don't know how the fuck they learn. But for me, it's like, what I need is to be alone with the car, and like a space that's open and I feel secure about. Have you ever seen a space where it looked like you wouldn't be in danger inside of a vehicle? I've never seen that. Even parking lots. Although I'm probably good enough with understanding like nuance that I wouldn't have much of a problem in a parking lot. But you know, because what I would want to be able to do is like set out physical markers around me inside the vehicle, and to be able to like actually like, okay, move forward about 2 foot, magic marker, and see what it looks like, and be able to measure the distance and be able to build like a map of that. But see, I don't have enough brain power as it is for the things that I care about, and I don't give a shit about driving. So it's a real hard sell. It's a really hard sell. The benefits of driving aren't there for me. They just make me want to abandon that. But it's the spatial thing. It's the spatial awareness thing. It's just like, it's too high of a hurdle to overcome. The human brain wasn't designed for that shit. And everyone who's driving is like doing it in incredible ignorance for the most part, as far as I can tell. Maybe some people are like designed for it. I don't know. Maybe some people's brains are like, it is the perfect thing, because people are different supposedly. It seems that way at least. So yeah, it's just not for me. It's just very difficult for me.
It's like an instantaneous psychic burst of like Brit. It's kind of like a Brit, and then it takes time to like convert that into sound forms that are understandable in a way that I can communicate them. It's difficult. I actually give a shit about much of anything. I was here just like kind of raving about emotions or whatever. It's not like I actually give a shit. It's not like I actually give a shit, and it's not like I actually intend anyone to like change their mind or whatever. It's life. It's how it's an exchange of ideas. It's entertainment. It's all kayfabe. It's bait and being baited on purpose for no reason, and it's a dance without any choreography. It's all that shit. Let's try this. So what's up, everyone? So I had that loom that I built. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. Has some problems, like I talked about before. So today I'm building a new heddle for it, because the old heddle is, well, it's for thread really, and I'm having issues making it work. So the new heddle is much wider with the fixed, like, because it's a solid, rigid heddle loom. So the zip strips are more standard size, and they're a lot longer, so I don't need to cut and glue them together. They're already nice and flat and straight. I used a soldering iron to melt the holes through, which was so much easier than what I did before, which was using a knife to puncture it and then cut a slit. And then also because it was non-removal technique, just cutting a slit is not really getting rid of anything. I had to shove something else inside to widen the holes. So with the soldering iron, it melts it all away, which is super nice. Should be way easier to thread. It's pretty cool. I also have a new phone. I don't know if it's noticeable from the video. Probably not, but who cares? It's the first Apple device I've ever had. Got it because it has the LiDAR on it, so it's a 13 Pro, which is really nice. It's nice that I'm able to have such nice things. I definitely appreciate that I can. It's really cool. First thing I did was download every single 3D LiDAR thing that is on there on the store, and then tested out a few of them. Some of them are kind of garbage. One thing I don't like is the features that like export to OBJ, which is a very portable format, is a paid feature, but I don't have the liquidity to get that kind of a thing. So it does export into some kind of format, which apparently Blender can import, which will be helpful. But it would be nicer if it was OBJ, because then I wouldn't have to go through and convert it again if I wanted to use it in, like, any kind of other engine. But so I've been doing photogrammetry stuff for a while. That's part of the reason I got the rig I got, and nice DSLR that I have. But this can use the LiDAR tech to just instantly get the depth depth map. I don't know how good it's going to be for like small details, but for wide details, it's way faster, like orders of magnitude faster. It's like takes like a minute versus an hour, which is a lot of difference there. So that's pretty nice. Didn't go for a ride today, which kind of sucks. But when I wanted to, it was raining after I went around and got the things that I needed to get. That's my parental unit number, ? One of them. So that was nice. It was good. I don't know, something else. The one thing is, there's a lot of differences between the ecosystem, and small things are noticeable. Like to unlock the phone, I have to swipe from the bottom instead of in the middle of the screen. So every time I try to unlock the phone, I'm opening the notification bar, which is kind of a minor issue, but it's noticeable. There's some other things that are kind of cool, and these are like small touches, but the like very first user experience, the phone makes all these cute sounds. It's like little endearing sounds when you click things, and when you're doing certain things. One of the things that's really interesting is the haptic feedback on like a scroll. You like scroll, and instead of it just like glassily sliding, it vibrates as it gets to each new item, which is I don't know, it's a minor thing, but it adds to the user experience quite a bit, which is a nice thing. What else? The cohesion in the ecosystem is super nice. Now, I'm not a huge fan of big software, like, monolithic, gigantic software. But what I'm not a fan about it is that you have like all these competing things that make it so inefficient, right? Like to get a video from one app to another app, you have to convert it to a portable format, and you have to like move it around. But in this, it just knows, it just does it, and you don't have to open the file manager. Then browse through the directory listing on your device to find the thing you're looking for. It just sorts things properly, automatically, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy that something so simple actually works. I had this theory about the new Bionic chip and how they were getting like so much efficiency out of the chip, and how the software that you write on Apple devices is seeing such huge performance gains. And my theory about it is that they cut out a lot of the stack. They optimize the processor, or not the processor. They optimize the software for their specific processor. And since the new iPad and the new phones and the computers are all using the same architecture, and since they only manufacture the phones that they manufacture, they can not have like all these cluttered drivers, and Android has to support running on anything, and because of that, it adds a whole lot of unnecessary bloat for a specific device, right? And it's hard for a developer to properly analyze that stuff and cut out the stuff they don't need. But on Apple, they just did all that work themselves. They built their own stack that's shorter and more stable. So it's less insulting and less clunky. But the new phone experience is always smooth and nice, and then it gets shitty over time. So we'll have to wait for the verdict on that to see if things start freaking out. My last phone had a damage in the middle of the screen that was preventing touches like along the entire horizontal, or vertical rather, a whole vertical bar. So typing on it was nearly impossible. There was like a whole row of letters I couldn't type, and then I had to move the keyboard around to be able to type those letters for like password input and stuff. It was becoming a nightmare, and that's like the least of the problems that I was having. But I still have that phone for using it for various things. It has a pen. This one doesn't have a pen, although I'm not sure if it's compatible with the Apple Pencil. That might be a thing to look into. But yeah, it's pretty nice. It's a pretty nice setup. And Thank You had a video the other day about, or maybe it was today, literally. Could have been. It might have been yesterday. About how they were reading about financing and how it was just causing an existential crisis because it's all bullshit. And it is all bullshit. It's insanely bullshit. And there's no good answers to anything. It's like the very foundations of it. It's nonsense. My brother was taking a business management kind of classes, and in those he was talking about how like the very way of interpreting humans is like there's three kinds of people basically, and those people who are like useful and those ones who aren't to the business essentially is how it breaks down. And the entire structure of the business management coursework is founded on this kind of a way of interpreting the world. And it's scary that that's how things are. It's like a nightmare clusterfuck, but it doesn't extend to just that. It's like it is everything, like he said. But the problem with thinking this way, and I'm sure Mr. No knows. The problem is like, well, what the fuck do you do? What the fuck do you do with that information? How do you then like knowing that everything is bullshit and a nightmare clusterfuck and there's no fixing it and it just gets worse? What the fuck do you do in your own life about that? And like, this is where like I guess Posadism comes in, because it's like, well, this whole existence is bullshit, so the best course of action is destroy everything. Acceleration is another direction you can go with this, because if everything is bullshit and needs to be like completely taken out, then maybe you're going hard into the problems and getting to the point where everything is just completely fucked. There's like no answer at all. Is better. I don't know. The being based in comfy philosophy is the one that seems to make the most sense. Ride the tide and stay afloat yourself as best you can, using whatever means and resources are at your disposal. Ideally, not just for yourself, but like for your own like community or ecosystem or whatever it is. And not for the benefit of them necessarily, but for your own benefit as well, because I feel better knowing that the people who influence me and who I influence are all taken care of. And it sucks when they aren't. So you know, there's no such thing as being an egalitarian, or not an egalitarian, but what is it called? There's no such thing as an actually true good deed that is without some level of cynicism, except for, I guess, with the truly naive, possibly, but I'm not truly naive, so I can't think about things like that. Yeah, another thing I've been thinking about is with my paintings and the art shit that I've been doing. I've for a while been wanting to make an art book with the art that I had just for myself, but making a little online store with prints of things might be a cool thing to do. I'm not really sure. I've been thinking about it because I am. I acknowledge that I have been somewhat of a leech. I don't like to think about myself that way, but it's true. So now everything is bullshit, and a lot of people who think they're not leeches and who get money for ostensibly not being a leech are, in my opinion, total leeches. Like, their entire industry is leechy. You know, even if they're providing some kind of good to some people, it doesn't mean that the good that they're providing is good that should be provided. You know, what is good, and so everything is subjective, but that's kind of a bad way of viewing things. So art fundamentally is kind of bullshit, and making profit off of art is kind of fundamentally bullshit, and I don't really want that kind of thinking to touch what I'm doing, right? Because it's very easy to allow the idea of making things for profit is it's corrupting. It's a corrupting influence, and I don't want that corrupting influence to touch what it is that I'm doing. But it probably is going to anyway. I don't know. And if it's going to anyway, you know, like, I could definitely see after I'm dead someone being like, oh, this is a gold mine, actually. This all of this body of work is actually good and something that can be monetized. And if that's going to happen anyway, I may as well be the person to do it, because then it improves my quality of life, and additionally, it lets me do cool things. Like, there's a lot of cool shit that I can't do right now because I just don't have the means. I don't have, like, you know, CNC. I don't have I don't have like a silk screen. I don't have all this shit to be able to do that kind of stuff that I think about wanting to do. And so building a loom was one of those things where I don't have the means to produce this thing, and I want to, and it's something that I understood I could actually do myself. Now, building a CNC machine, you could do that yourself. I mean, it's possible. One person could design and build a CNC machine that works, but I don't want to. Like, I wanted to build a loom because I wanted to be able to understand how it works. I understand how a CNC machine works well enough that I don't give much of a shit about building one. I would just be frustrated the whole time because I know the amount of bullshit that goes into it, and I've seen it and lived it already. Maybe there's a few new lessons to be had there, but I don't care. So that's like a thing that I can't really do myself, or I'm unwilling to. Additionally, the end result wouldn't be satisfactory for what I actually want, You know, I just want to be able to go and push the thing and get a result. The CNC isn't an end goal, it's a means to end goals. So, I don't know. The internet rewards lots of shill behavior, because that's capital, baby, yeah. And I don't really want to do all that to that extreme. I don't know. It's cool. Anyway, it's easy to get depressed about things. It's easy to get fucking depressed about it, and it's like the primary feeling I feel generally when thinking about how much things are kind of bullshit. But yeah, I don't want to live in that space. I want to live in a happier space. And while things generally are kind of on decline, entropy increases, it doesn't decrease. But that doesn't mean in localized spheres that's always true. And that's kind of a dangerous mindset, I guess, because the improvement comes at the expense of others, generally speaking. And even if your whole world around you is improving, I mean, this is how rich fucks are able to have the kind of mindsets that they do, is because everyone around them is equally having a good time with things. But I don't know. I've been thinking about religion and Christianity, and I feel like I can accept Jesus as a philosopher and the ideas as philosophy ideas, but it's hard for me to accept the divinity kind of aspects, which makes me at odds with things. I can rationalize it myself, you know. I can say, well, that's actually the true intent of whatever. I can like think about Mormonism, which was the specific flavor of Christianity I was raised with, and be like, well, you know, Joseph Smith was a con artist, but that doesn't mean that the things he stole and the way that he presented things wasn't actually for some good. Sure, he was like probably a pedophile. I mean, I don't really have problems with that, as some people know. And he definitely wanted to fuck lots of women and needed some rationalization for his wife to be able to do that. But like, is that wrong too? Like, a lot of people like to knock him for it, but I don't know if that's really a bad thing. And if you like look into it, it seems like he didn't really fuck that many of them. It seemed like for a lot of the part he was quote marrying women who were struggling in their financial situation or their life situation, probably because of what he was having people do. But you know, create the problem and then create the solution, because as the prophet of the known world, he was able to provide a better existence for those people as their husband in a legal sense or whatever. I don't know. There's lots of ways of interpreting things like that to make it jive and be okay. But it is all kind of bullshit, and it's definitely not the standard narrative approach.